Hi, I'm Jaleesa Gaston, the Victim Services Coordinator and Probation Officer for the Tennessee Department of Correction Community Supervision in Sumner County, Tennessee, District 81. This year, for National Crime Victims' Rights Week, I chose to represent and spotlight Ashley's Place, an agency in Sumner County that helps children victims of crimes. And with me, I have Amy, and she's going to be telling us a little bit about Ashley's Place.
Ashley's Place is the only child advocacy center serving Sumner County. Of course, we serve the 18th Judicial District. When we look at the mission of the center, it is to provide a coordinated child-friendly environment for child victims of child sex abuse, severe physical abuse, and witness to violence. Our center started here in Sumner County and was inspired by a young victim by the name of Ashley, of course, who told her teacher one afternoon of the abuse that was happening in her home. The teacher took her to the guidance counselor and had her tell the guidance counselor what was happening in her home. At that point in time, the reporting laws were different, and schools and agencies could have one point reporting person. So in a school, that would typically be the principal. And so they had taken Ashley to the principal and said, tell the principal, you know, what you told me, because he or she's responsible for that report. So we're up to 3 people at this point. Principal called law enforcement, a road officer came out, road officer spoke to Ashley to do that report, realized that needed to be a detective or an investigator. They came out, they spoke to Ashley, it's their investigation. The investigator realized that DCS needed to be involved because this was a safety issue in her home. A DCS worker came out and spoke to Ashley. So this young lady went through 6 different people of telling this details of traumatic events that have happened to her in her own home within probably about a 3-hour time span. No therapy services, no court prep when those charges were brought against her offender. And so that was really the jumping off point for us in Sumner County, that we need to create a center to help children maneuver a system that is just not historically victim friendly, and it is definitely not child victim friendly. So when we look at the services that we provide as the center, we are strictly a nonprofit, but by statute, we are part of the investigative team. So we are doing the child victim forensic interviews. Those are recorded, there's an observation room. All of the team members involved can be a part of that without exposing that child to multiple different professionals throughout the investigation process and not having to go through repeated interviews around those traumatic events. We also provide trauma-focused therapy to child victims, and we do that on site. Here at the center, we've got a victim advocate who meets with families, makes sure they're getting hooked up and referred for services that they may need, follows those families throughout the prosecution process, which at this point, even pre-COVID, was at about 2 years before we are seeing our kids and families get through the judicial process. We do extensive court preparation with children and families now and preparing them for court as well. And then there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff to help our team operate and do what's best practice for child victims. We also have Ophira, who is here with us today as well. So she is a fully trained service dog through Canine Companions for Independence. And her job is to provide emotional comfort piece to children through the various steps of that process. So she goes in the forensic interview with children if they choose to have her, and then she also goes on the witness stand with child victims when they have to testify in court.
That's amazing, and she is doing a great job right now. She's really calm and very sweet. Is there anything else you would like for the public or community to know about Ashley's Place?
Really, I think we are historically an agency that folks often don't know exists until, or if, unfortunately, they need our services. And being a nonprofit, we do rely heavily on our community support. We are a United Way agency and Healing Trust and Memorial Foundation and definitely a variety of foundations and funding sources. But our community support is instrumental as well in making sure that we're able to provide those services to kids and families, whether that be through donating, wish list items or financially donating to just keeping, the doors open and those services flowing.
Yes, and I know that our office, the Gallatin office, was able to help participate in that a couple years ago. And so down below, hopefully there will be a link where you guys can go donate, and we'll have their information on the screen. I just wanted to say thank you for taking part in National Crime Victims' Rights Week. We think that your agency definitely is what we're about. We're about engaging the community, building the trust, and making sure that victims are heard. So thank you so much for taking time with me.